Hello everyone. The topic today that will be discussed is if mental health is affected by a person's race or ethnic background. Hello everyone. The topic today that will be discussed is if mental health is affected by a person's race or ethnic background. Despite how progressive the 21st century may seem, different ethnic groups. The main thesis for the argument is that despite how progressive the 21st century may seem, different ethnic groups are affected in their mental health by just being their race. Those in minorities also do not get the help that they need for mental care, thus affecting their mental health even more. And racism also has irreversible effects on the brain. The first assertion that can be made about the topic is that different ethnic groups are affected in their mental health by just being their race. In support of this, the American Psychiatric Association shows the disparities of mental health status and usage across various races and groups, and it gives us charts on different ethnic groups like African Americans and Asian Americans, and it shows us that both groups use less mental health services. And in support of that, the Blue Cross Blue Shield also gives us a chart on how white Americans get more treatment for depression than black or Hispanics, whether it be prescription or therapy, with over 8% in differentials. In the same site of the Blue Cross Blue Shield, it also shows that white majority are actually affected by the mental illness more, as shown in the chart, and white people actually have an 8.9% chance of getting diagnosed with depression, while black and Hispanic Americans have a 6.1% and 5.4%. Despite what has been shown, there's actually been more suicide growth rates in ethnic groups compared to the white people, according to the KFF organization. As you can see, it goes from 15 to 16.8, which is 1.8 difference, but in black Americans, it grows 2.3%. Assertion 2. Those in minorities also do not get the help that they need for mental care and are thus affected by it. A study by Simmons University shows that a good percentage of ethnic groups agree with the fact that race plays a part in their treatment of mental health and affects how well they get their treatment for it. It shows about 15% of black African Americans show that their race plays a part in it, 13% for Latinos, and 11% for Asian Americans. Suicide rates in ethnic groups like black and Hispanics have increased, while white suicide rates have decreased from 8.1% to 16.9% of 100,000 people, according to the CDC. A counterclaim that can be made for that is that mental health is open to all people and is not segregated or secluded to one person or one group. In the chart provided by the Ohio Council, there's been an overall growth of the use of mental health services, which shows that mental health services actually have been used more over the years compared to before. The rebuttal or counter argument to the counter argument is that Asian Americans are less likely to express their concerns of the mental health illnesses. According to the DBSA, it states that by choice, Asian Americans do not seek help as much as their white counterparts, and trauma like PTSD follows them from Asia when they immigrate into America. In the final assertion, it claims that racism has an irreversible effect on the brain. The medical news today supports that claim by showing that black women who have been reported to have faced discrimination have shown changes in the right matter of their brain by doing an MRI scan, which was a study led by Professor Fanny on how racism affects brain pathways of self-regulation. In the National Library of Medicine, they suggest and support with evidence that racial discrimination is associated heavily with regions of the brain that is related to the emotion and regulation and fear inhibition by doing research using an MRI scan as well. Despite that, some may suggest that the brain can undergo racism but other trauma as well. And the counter argument to that is that although this may be true, the racism affects the brain persists, especially the black Americans. And a study by the Highland Spring organization has shown that through MRI scans, the brain is affected by racial trauma and discrimination and cannot be disproved. Overall, the role of racism should be held in a higher light in the face of mental health, and it plays a bigger part in a person's mental illness than what is accredited to it. More exposure to this topic is what is needed, and a person's race should not affect their mental health.